Welcome to part 1 of the PDHPE lecture series for the HSC. So part 1, 2 and 3 will be about core 1 and parts 4 and 5 will be about core 2. You can use these lectures however you want to help you study, to revise just before your HSC exams. So we're going to kick off with the structure of the HSC exam. So as you all know, you've all done your trials now. It's a 3-hour exam. 60% of that is in section 1 with 20 multiple choice questions and another 40 marks on short answer. Then it's followed by section 2, which is worth 40%, and this is where you use your 2 options. So, it could be sports med or improving performance or any of the other options. Throughout this lecture series, I'll also have a couple of study tips and practice questions that you can use to study. So, study tip 1 is remember your syllabus. You're only, a month away now from the PDHP exam, maybe even less. It's really important to know your syllabus so that you know exactly which part a question is asking you to answer. So you take about 5 to 10 minutes every couple of days to test yourself on the syllabus. And this is a tip I'm giving you for PE and for your other subjects as well. Alright, we're going to start off with a question from the 2014 paper. What is the purpose of epidemiology? Have a quick read through those options. Feel free to pause the video now and then we'll see the answer. I hope you all got A for that. So the purpose of epidemiology is to identify the causes and patterns of disease in a population. I've got another question for you. So from the 2015 paper, question 23 worth 5 marks, why is it important for governments to prioritise health issues? Now before we answer this question, I've got another study tip for you. So before I did any of my questions, as soon as reading time was over, I would take a couple of minutes to go through the short answers and extended responses. And as you can see there for question 23, I wrote at the top what I needed from the syllabus to answer this question. And for this question in particular, I needed to talk about the social justice principles, priority population groups, the prevalence of the condition, the potential for prevention and early intervention, and costs to the individual and community. So in order to answer this question, so here we have the 5 points that the government uses to identify their priority health issues. Now when identifying these issues, they're not just identifying them, but also seeing how they can improve them. So with that, they also try to target these priority health issues by ensuring that they keep in line with the social justice principles. So we've got equity, making sure people that don't have the right resources get the right amount of resources. So this is different from equality, as you know. So equality means everyone receives the exact same, but not everybody is on the same level when they're starting off. So equity gives people different amounts so that they do end up with the same amount. So in order to achieve equality, they do that through equity. Then you've got diversities, making sure that the priority health issues, we're not just focusing on the population in New South Wales or not just, say, the Asian or just the Caucasian population, but everyone in the community, everyone in the population. So diversity, making sure that different health initiatives are able to cater for everyone in the population. They also want to encourage participation and create these supportive environments. All of these you kind of expand on in different parts of the PDHPE syllabus, but essentially you want to give individuals autonomy and empowerment. And then we've got the priority population groups. Now, these groups are those that are at greater risk or have the greatest prevalence of that specific disease or issue. So this might be males for CVD. This could be the Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander population, depending on what the issue is. Then we've got the prevalence of the condition. So this is the current number of cases of the disease or illness or issue at a particular period of time. Now this is different from incidence, because incidence, as you know, is the number of new cases. So this is just, so prevalence is just a number of all cases that are current. Then we've got its potential for prevention and early intervention. Now, a lot of the priority health issues in Australia are actually caused by modifiable lifestyle behaviours. So they're things that could be avoided. So by changing environments, financial status, physical behaviours, or social cultural attitudes, there's a very big potential to change a lot of these issues. By changing someone's environment, you can also change their behaviour. And then we've got the indirect and direct costs to the individual and the community. So this might include the cost of medications, the cost of not going to work, all of that. You can get a lot more of this information on some of our notes on atarnotes.com, or you can have a look at some of the PDHPE notes that we've got for sale. Alright, and then the next part, we've got the determinants of health. So this is sociocultural, socioeconomic, and environmental. I'll leave you to read that. It's just important that you do have quite a strong foundation about these determinants so that you can apply them to the priority population groups and the priority health issues that you do have to discuss. So everyone needs to do the ATSI population plus another, and then everyone needs to do CVD and cancer plus another issue. So the one that's compulsory for everyone is the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. So it has been said that the Indigenous community have significantly poorer health outcomes than the rest of the population. And this is where those determinants of health kick in, and this is where you need to really know them. These are just a couple of points that you can use and help you remember to write those extended responses. You know, some of the past papers, if you have a look, some of them have been worth about 12 marks. So sociocultural, you've got discrimination and exploitation in the past and sometimes in the present, unfortunately. Then we've got the severed cultural, spiritual, and family ties from the White Australia policy and the stolen generation. And all of those have resulted in lower self-esteem and poor mental health. So in one of the government reports from, I think, 2014, it reported that the Indigenous population had higher levels of psychological distress. This is higher, like significantly higher than the rest of the general population. Then we've got socioeconomic, so this relates to lower levels of education. They're half as likely to graduate from year 12 than the rest of the Australian population. Lower levels of health literacy, limited employment opportunities, and lower gross annual income. It's also really important that you use like the technical language. It shows the marker that you know what you're talking about. Using words like health literacy will really help you. But also remember to use that in context. So that health literacy is someone's ability to receive information retain that information and use that health information for the betterment of their own health. Then we've got the environmental. So quite a significant proportion of the Indigenous population live in rural and remote areas. So this means that they may have limited access to health care services and facilities. They may also engage in more labor-intensive work, which could result in high rates of injury. And they've also got kind of some lower standards of living depending where they are, depending on their socioeconomic status as well. And some Indigenous people may be living in houses that are overcrowded. Particularly in children, there's a heightened risk of respiratory illnesses and communicable infections. So this is just contagious infections. Then there may also be some adequate infrastructure, which is water and electricity. So that's the first part of answering a question about the Indigenous population. The next part is, how do we address these health inequities that they experience? And specifically, the syllabus asks you, how do they do it on an individual level, the community level, and the government? I'm going to start off backwards. I'm going to start off with the government. So we've got the Office of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Health, or HSC. The government is responsible for creating health policies and ensuring that the Indigenous populations do have those extra resources because of some of the barriers that they have to accessing healthcare. And then specific communities are responsible for educating and encouraging members of their community to receive healthcare and to participate in health promotion initiatives. And it's really important that the healthcare providers and healthcare initiatives reflect the cultures and the values of the community so that it's not something that's foreign to them. It's something that they're quite comfortable to access. And then from there, it's the individual's responsibility to access the health services and health initiatives that are given to them. It's important that they participate in those, and then from there they can retain that information, get higher levels of health literacy, and make better choices about their health. Now, these actions are meant to empower the individual and increase their autonomy. So empowerment means giving someone the encouragement or the ability to care for themselves, and autonomy is the ability to have options and make those decisions. So that's a population that everyone needs to know. So that's a must. It's a compulsory part of the PDHPE syllabus. And then from there, you all know that you've picked another group, whether it be people in rural and remote areas, people from low socioeconomic areas, the elderly, disabled, or those born overseas. Then the next part is about knowing cardiovascular disease. So really important to know that there are different parts to CVD. It's not just one illness. So under CVD, we've got coronary heart disease, heart attack, angina, cerebrovascular disease, heart failure, peripheral vascular disease, atherosclerosis, and arteriosclerosis. Really important that you know just a little bit, just one sentence summary about each of these, just because they can get really specific in those multiple choice questions. It's part of the population's priority health issues because it's one of the highest burdens of disease in Australia. In 2012, it accounted for 30% of all deaths, and in 2011 to 2012, it's estimated that 1 million Australians were affected by CVD. These statistics are about 5 years old. They're not too bad yet, but really simple to go on Google, quickly see prevalence or incidence of CVD to get the most up-to-date statistics that you can use in your extended responses. So non-modifiable risk factors are age, gender, and hereditary. Modifiable smoking, high blood pressure, levels of physical activity, exercise, and weight. And then we've got our protective factors. So this is a balanced and nutritious diet, engaging in physical activity, limited or no consumption of alcohol. Smoking tobacco is one of the biggest risk factors, not just for CVD, but also for cancer and a whole other range of illnesses, as well as regular doctor visits. So really important to remember that these protective risk factors are things that limit an individual's chances of developing CVD. Before we end this session, we've got just a couple or more multiple choice questions that you can use to revise. So from 2012, which of the following is most likely to cause a stroke? I'm going to let you pause the video, have a look through those options, and we'll see the answer soon. I'm hoping you got C, that a stroke is a clot interrupting blood supply to the brain. That's why I mentioned earlier that it's really important to know the specific parts of CVD. You don't need to know like a whole range. Like you don't need to know like every single thing about it, but just kind of a brief understanding of it at least. And then I recommend that you guys jump onto this website here, mcq.bosties.nsw.edu.au/hsc.cfm. So on this website, Bosties has put in multiple choice questions from a whole range of HSC past papers, not just for PE, but also for the sciences, I think some of the maths, studies of religion. Jump onto that. You can mix and match questions from previous years. A really good study tool, especially now getting really close to the HSC. And before we end, I really recommend that you guys look for some statistics just to back up those extended responses. Markers, when they see that you've gone the extra mile to do just a little bit of research and to support your arguments that you make in your extended responses, that's what markers really want to see in a band 6 answer. Like, you've kind of gone above and beyond the requirement, or just to show that you really know what you're talking about. All right. You can take a little break now, and I'll continue Core 1 in Part 2.